And I was like,
everything, like every time you got like a big speaking engagement,
every time I got something big, I think it was newspaper, I lost a job. Mixtape, I got fired from a job. Magazine, I lost a job. Yeah. Like it was every time something big happened in my life, yeah. I lost a job. What's up, family? It's your boy Jet Lee. You are now tuned in to another episode of the Load Up Podcast. And you already know, I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited to be living and shooting another episode, man. I hope you guys have been having a great year already, a great January, February. I hope everything's been going your way. I hope you've been reaching your goals. I hope you've been changing your lives. I hope you've been making an impact out here in this world, man. Thank you for everybody that's already subscribed, that's been watching and tuned in. The likes and the comments, I thank you. We thank you for your support, man. Make sure that you like and subscribe right now. Share the channel with a friend that you know somebody may need some motivation, some inspiration, some encouragement. Share this channel with them so that we can help them so that they can go to the next level, man. You already know we still on the 90-day grind. We locked in, we focused, we taking advantage of every day, every second, every minute. We making sure that we leaving it all on the court, right?
Yeah.
Every single game, we leaving it all on the court, man. I got a new book. It's February, so I said I'm doing a book a month. This book right here is so y'all remember last episode, my word was discipline, right? So discipline was my word for the year, so I found a book, and it's 400 pages, y'all.
That's like his yearbook.
This is the yearbook. Like I ain't even gonna flex. Like I'm gonna read all this in a month, right?
You can do it though.
I could do it, but I have to like really lock in. But like I said, I'm not gonna flex. Like I'm just gonna read this in a month. But this is gonna be my yearbook. I'm still gonna have a book that I read each month, but I'm gonna really take my time with this book because there's so many things in here and things that I can apply to my life that help me with my discipline. So if you're looking for a good book to read, Mindful Self-Discipline is the book. So that's enough about what I got going on. Got my co-host right here, my beautiful co-host, Courtney B. What's going on?
Man, listen, I'm still kind of full from last week. Week before last, rather.
Yeah.
I went back and watched it myself, and it's different when we speak and to encourage other people, but then when we speak and we go back and listen, and we're like, wow, like this is our life, like this is something that we can really apply to our own lives. So, just staying focused, just learning, locking in, and learning new skill sets.
Right.
That's
important. That's important.
Can help us, can help me, continue to learn just who Courtney is, can help me learn more of what I'm capable of, more strength that I have that I didn't even know that was in there. I'm just excited about this year. I'm excited about every year, but I think this year is different because I'm kind of walking into literally the unknown. Like last year, I walked into it knowing I was gonna quit my job, knowing that I was gonna walk into a different season. But in this year, I didn't have a job at all. So it's still different because now it's a new year. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm coming up on my 1-year anniversary of actually walking out and being a full-time entrepreneur. So now it's, what have you done in that year, Courtney? How do you need to continue to grow? What do you need to learn, and what new habits do you need to have? So it's kind of hitting me like a ton of bricks, but it's not overwhelming in a bad way. It's overwhelming in a good way because now I can kind of learn myself more. Now I can really see what I'm really capable of. You don't really know what you're capable of until you have to really be capable of some things. Literally. You don't really know your strength until you have to be strong. You don't know how smart you are until you have to literally just sit here and you ain't getting it. And you like, I'm smart. Like I just told you that last time, I'm smart. I know I can do this. But now it's just literally just getting to a point where I'm just learning Courtney again. So I'm enjoying it.
And it's a beautiful journey, and it's a faith journey, and that brings us to our topic. Our main point of this episode is faith over fear.
Mm-hmm.
That's right, faith over fear. Go ahead and get a notepad
Oh yeah.
and pen, and let's take some notes on this episode because I'm pretty sure we're gonna get some good things, some good nuggets that you can take away and that you can apply to your life and your situation. So we know faith is right. Get a definition of faith and get a definition of fear. Faith.
Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things unseen. We know that from Hebrews.
We know that. And fear is false evidence appearing real. That means it's stuff that you made up in your mind.
Yeah.
That you made up, that we make up in our mind that stop us from taking that leap of faith into our destiny, into our success.
Mm-hmm.
So with faith, man, I'm sure you have so many stories. I have so many stories of faith and fear. And yesterday, true story, man. You know, I was out and I was talking to this guy, and he was like, you know, he was ready to quit his job, and that he had investments and he had properties and he had different things already lined up. And I'm like, well, why you not gone? Why you haven't quit yet?
Yeah.
He was saying, fear. Fear is stopping him from going to live his dreams. And I was just like, well, why you letting fear stop you? And he was just saying, like, it's just that unknown.
Yeah.
Like, it's that unknown of you don't know what's on the other side of not having that paycheck every 2 weeks. And I can understand because it can be scary. It can be like, I don't have no money coming in. Everything depends on you. And I got these bills coming. And I know it's a lot that comes with it. But he had already have investments and he had different things already in place. So why not take that leap of faith? And I just told him, like, look, don't let fear stop you from living your dreams.
Yeah.
If you believe enough in yourself, if you have, then he said something again that he was like, he said, I just was real with myself and I said, I really don't believe in God.
Mm.
He wasn't saying that he didn't believe in God, like he
That
don't
he
believe he
exists.
exists. He said he don't
He
believe
gonna do it for him.
that he could do it for him, and that he don't believe that if he quits his job that God can take care of him.
Yeah.
And he was just saying that, he said, and I do believe in God, like I know God is real,
Yeah.
but when it comes to me quitting my job, I just feel that you know, God is not gonna be there. And he was, and I was just like, wow, it's like, you know, my wife doesn't have a job.
Yeah.
And it's just me, but she took that leap of faith because we don't want to hold on to the regret of what if, like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to stay somewhere just because you got to pay these bills, you got to maintain this lifestyle when you know you were called to more and to do more.
Yeah.
You know, and in my situation, you know, yes, I'm a firefighter, and I like what I do, I love what I do, and but that's not my end goal. For me, that's just my stepping stone. That's my foundation to live my dreams, to start the real estate, to start investments and start different things. So that's not my end goal, but it's my foundation. It's my start point, you know. And with someone that had multiple jobs, I'm just gonna be real and transparent with you guys. I gotta at least keep a job. Like, I want to at least show myself that I can keep a job for some time. Like, yes, guys, literally, I done had so many jobs, and I know some people can relate because a lot of people had a lot of jobs. But I didn't have so many jobs. I know in 2018, 19. 2019, guys, I had probably over 10 jobs in that year.
Yes.
I done got fired. I didn't quit. I done got fired. I didn't quit. And that was just that, and that was me walking in faith and fear at the same time. Faith that God's gonna take care of me, and fear of I may quit. You know, like I may quit or I may get fired. And I tell a story where I was working this job, and a speaking engagement came up, right? So I said, I'm gonna call in, right? That's my faith. Like, I'm gonna call in, I'm gonna go live my dreams, right? So I called in, y'all, I'm not gonna make it in sick. And They said, okay. So they called me back in about 5, 10 minutes and was like, hey, don't worry about coming back.
Yeah.
And I
That
was
was
like,
weird that everything, like every time you got like a big speaking engagement, something happened.
every time I got something big, I think it was newspaper, I lost a job. Mixtape, I got fired from a job. Magazine, I lost a job.
Yeah.
Like it was every time something big happened in my life,
Yeah.
I lost a job. And I don't know what God was taking me through, but it was just a real critical point in my life. But I I did the speaking engagement, and that was fear. Like I went to my speaking engagement just losing my job, y'all. Like I just got fired, but I said I'm gonna go live my dreams, like, cause this is what I really want to do. So I went and I spoke, and it was good. I was walking in purpose, and I didn't even think about that job while I was speaking. And when I got done, came home, and I just went look for another job, y'all. So it was just like that was my faith over my fear, you know. And this year, guys, use your faith more than you use your fear. Like fear is a thing that you make up in your mind. Like it's not real. And faith is believing in God, and God said all you need is faith as small as a mustard seed, and you can make it happen, and this mountain will be moved. Yeah. You know. And so that, man, I can go. I got so many stories, and I've been ready for this episode because faith over fear. I'm wearing my wife's shirt today. I am faithful. We full of faith, man. And bust a faith move this year. Like bust a faith move. Don't be scared. Don't like remove fear and bust a faith move.
Yeah, so I kind of want to tweak that just a little. Even going back to the story when you were talking to the guy yesterday, fear is a real thing. Like let's be very clear. We're not gonna be super spiritual here. No, fear is a real thing. Like if fear does exist, but what happens, what the problem is when we put fear over our faith instead of faith over fear. Fear is real. When you see a dog and a big old dog coming and you scared of that dog, like that's real fear. When you have a job and you have a mortgage and you have a car note and you have bills and debt and other things and you are about to walk off your job, that's real fear because you have never seen it before. You're walking into the unknown. If you know what I'm saying, you meet somebody for the first time and they want to get to know you, but you don't really know this person. You're used to heartbreak. You're used to, your relationship's not lasting. Disloyalty. You're gonna be a little afraid going into this relationship. Fear is a real thing. I want to be very, very clear about that. Fear is a real thing. However, fear doesn't have to live in your mind. Fear doesn't have to supersede what you want to do in life and what you want to have. Just because you're afraid of what will happen in the relationship doesn't mean that you shouldn't give the relationship a try. Just because you're afraid of foreclosure or repossession or the lights being cut off doesn't mean that you shouldn't follow your dreams. But the first step here, I think, is acknowledging that fear is real. Acknowledging that fear is there. Acknowledging that, Lord, I'm afraid. Forgive me. I know your word says, do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. I know that's what your word says, but I'm human. And sometimes my humanity trumps my spirituality. That's real, and I feel like God understands that, but he understands when you come to him raw. When you come to him knowing, that I'm scared, but God, I know that you got me.
Right.
I heard something, I can't even remember what I was listening to. I think it was Pastor Darius Daniels, and he was talking about Jeremiah 29:11, when the scripture says, I know the plans I have for you. Plans to give you a hope in the future, not to harm you. And we read that, and we almost say it as a cliche that I know the plans. God knows the plans that he has for me. But it was until I listened to that sermon and I heard, we get it mixed up because the word says, I know the plans I have for you. It's saying God knows the plans, not you know the plans, or not we know the plans. It's he knows the plans, so we have to trust him. Trust that You know, he knows the plans, and they're far better than what we could ever have imagined. They're far better than what we could have thought, what we could have asked for. But I think once we get over that fear, once we get over the fear of not knowing, I know Maya posted a post a couple months ago that said, never fear an unknown future to a known God.
Mm.
Never fear an unknown future to a known God. You know
Right.
who God is. You
Right.
know God's track record.
Right.
I can go back and think about things that how God healed my mom. I can go back and think about, how in college, I don't eat McDonald's now, but we laugh about this all the time. I would literally buy a cheeseburger and fries. And I would split that cheeseburger in half, eat one half of it, eat the fries, and the next tomorrow or the next day, eat the other half of the cheeseburger and do what I had to do. I was only working, coming home from school, working on Saturday and Sunday, going back to school on Monday. So, I had to do what I had to do at the end of the day. But it's just knowing that, like, God got me, like, I done been through worse.
Right.
And when you look at his track record and you look at what he's already brought you through, that's grounds to push you to, you got me through that.
Right.
Like, I know you'll do it again. So that goes back to what you were saying, that God said he believed God is real. He believed God exists. But it's not, and it may not even necessarily be what he said. He doesn't believe that God will actually do it for him.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times we run into that because we're not able to see it.
Right.
We're not able to map it out.
Right.
Like for me, for
Right.
so long, I wanted to be in control of everything in my life. I wanted to control a jet. I wanted to control my marriage. I wanted to control my relationships. I wanted to control my career. But that's not life.
Right.
Like, as we talked about, God knows the plans. We don't know the plans. I used to, one of my favorite quotes is the best way to make God laugh is to tell him your plans. Because I know the plans I have for you. Not the plans you want. Now, granted, I thank God that he gives us our wants and our heart's desires, because his word talks about that. I do thank God for that. But at the same time, we can't get so caught up in what we want that we miss the progression and what he wants to do in our lives. So I think it's scary because we can't see it.
You can't see it, yeah.
But it feels so good when you know that there's somebody that has that safety net for you. He's
Right.
not gonna let you fall. He may, you might trip a little bit, you might scrape your knee up a little bit. I scraped my knee a couple times. But he has never God has never let me down.
Right.
He has never let me fall. He has, never just left me and abandoned me. And I remember when I looked up, because we know it says God will never leave us or forsake us. When you
Right.
look up what forsake is abandon. He will never leave me, abandon me, leave me out there alone.
Right.
As long as you call on him and you trust him. And go to God and tell him, God, I'm scared.
Right.
Like, I trust you, but I don't know if I believe that you'll do this for me. Like,
Right.
I feel like God honors honesty.
Right.
I feel like God honors when you go to him with a pure heart and pure intentions and just let him know how you feel.
Right.
And I feel like that's when he do his best work to me. Because I've been there. I've been where I didn't believe. I've been where I've doubted. I've been where I didn't know if it was going to happen.
Right.
I've been where, I was shocked when God did it. But
Right.
knowing how good God is and how much he loves his children and how much, he longs to bless us. He
Right.
longs to love us. Like, that's it. He doesn't want to hold things back from us. He wants to give. He wants to bless us. He promised us abundant life. So when I think about that, like, even though fear still comes up, it still rears its ugly head sometimes, I still know that I have a faith that's bigger than fear.
It has a faith that's bigger than fear. So in life, guys, we got two choices.
Yeah.
In life, we got two choices. We're going to choose faith or we're going to choose fear. Whatever choice you make, that determines the life that you live. So for us, we want to choose a faithful life.
Yeah.
And we want to choose that faith route. Even though we know it's going to be hard, we know it's going to be uncertain. We don't know what's on the other side of that choice. But I would rather live with the choice of faith than fear. Because on fear, you're not gonna make anything happen. You're not
Yeah.
gonna make any kind of change,
Yeah.
any kind of impact, no improvement, no encouraging. You're not gonna get anything done on that fear route.
Mhm.
But that faith route, you can get a lot done, man.
Yeah.
So I want you to make a choice. Make a choice this year that you're gonna choose faith over fear.
Mhm.
And I bust a faith move. So I wanted to get a sponsor for the show, right? So I reached out. I shot the message. It's like, yo, this is our sponsor package. You get this, this, and this. And they was like, not at the moment. And I was just like, cool. You and I know you've been telling me it's like, go ahead and try to get a sponsor. And I was like, man, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait till we get to this many episodes. And she was like, no, go ahead and do it now. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna take my wife's advice. I did it, and I wasn't successful. But that's okay because there's so many more people that's out here that's going to be a sponsor. You know what I mean? Just because they said no doesn't mean it's the end of the world. And just because you use your faith, yes, you applied faith, and then it didn't work out, you got shut down, and now you just like, man, faith don't work. No, don't. You have to change that attitude, because faith is not going to work every time. Just because you use faith doesn't mean, okay, it's just going to work out for me.
Yeah.
It's going to get it for me every time. Like, sometimes you're going to use faith and still be disappointed. What do you do then?
Yeah, so it's good you said that, because we can look at no's as fear or faith.
Right.
So when you got that no from him, you could have looked at that as no and let fear set in and say, I'm not going to ask anybody else.
Right.
I'm going to stop right here. Maybe it's not time. Maybe I shouldn't listen. I shouldn't listen to Courtney. I should
Right.
have just waited. You know, you could have let fear set
Right.
in and say, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. Or you could have let faith set in and say, okay, well, I'm going to turn that no into not yet.
Not yet.
Maybe that just wasn't the right sponsor for me right now. But if I keep building,
Yep.
keep finding people, that's new or that's willing to, they just, some people just want to get their name out.
Right.
It's somebody out there for everyone, and maybe that person just wasn't the right one at this time.
At this time.
So you have to look at it as, never, for me, I don't accept no. And that's just what it is. Like, you might say no. This person might say no. You might say no. I might ask you something. You might be like, no, I don't think. Prime example, I want a dog.
No.
I've been asking for this dog. Yeah, like every time.
She not ready for a
it's
dog.
so cute. He like, no, Courtney.
No.
I'm talking about a hard no at that. That's a not yet, because I'm going to get this dog.
No. You go
So,
no. You ain't ready. When
fear
you show me you ready for a dog, then we gonna
That's
get the
fear
dog.
talking right there. That's fear. So, fear could be, okay, he just said, no, maybe I need to start looking for something else. I'd be running mad, like, well, maybe we don't need a dog. Faith is, he's saying not yet right now, but let me start showing him I'm ready for a dog. Let me start kind of getting in position, have a little dog around here. Like, and I'm joking around, but I'm really serious, because you will hear a lot of no's. You
Right.
will hear a lot of no's when you start wanting to live your dreams, whatever it is that you want to do. It
Right.
doesn't matter if it's fashion, it doesn't matter if it's acting, it doesn't matter if it's interviews, for anything that you need to do, you will hear no. But it's up to you if you will allow that no to stop you in fear or push you into faith. And I think it's vital, because so many times a lot of us stop at no.
Right.
That you don't keep going to get to the yes. You don't keep going to see the person that's gonna, help you.
That's gonna open that door for you.
Absolutely, because the Bible says that men shall pour into your bosom.
Right.
So you have to get to a point where, okay, well, if this person isn't gonna do it, then I know that God has somebody else out there that's gonna help me. Somebody else out there that's gonna help push me into purpose. Somebody else out there that's, going to want to collab or whatever it is that you're desiring. It's always something out there to help you, get to that level. But I think the thing, and I think you said it so good, that every time that you have faith, it's not just gonna happen. or what you're asking for is not going to happen at that time.
Right.
Granted, your faith always works. The moment that you exercise faith and the moment that you have faith, it works.
Right.
God is, I feel like God is pleased. That is the only way that, that we please God.
Right, through faith.
Through faith.
Right.
So, I feel that when you have faith, be encouraged and know that because you have exercised your faith, God is pleased. But don't get discouraged when what you ask for doesn't happen.
Right.
Because just because you ask for it doesn't mean it's the season for it. Doesn't mean that that's what God has for you. Go ahead.
Because what is it? The delay is not denial.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Just because you ask for it, it doesn't mean that it's the time. But just because it's delayed, doesn't mean that He's telling you no.
Right.
I know we've been praying for some things, and it may just not be the time right now. The 25-year-old Courtney couldn't handle what the 28 Courtney has.
Right.
The 28-year-old Courtney may not be ready for what the 35-year-old Courtney is going to be blessed with. So we just have to understand that God is pleased. We're still pleasing God, but let us not be unpleased with the results because we don't get what we're asking for.
Right. And another thing with faith, if you guys want to write this down, when you have faith, you still have to apply the work to it.
Oh, yeah.
So faith without works is dead, right? So just because I pray for it, I have faith, I speak about it, but if you get up every day and don't put any action behind your faith talk, then you will never get your dreams. Like, you will never reach the success. You will never meet the person that you need to meet if you're always in the house every time, or you're not connecting on social media with somebody, or you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Just because I have faith, I pray for it, I say I have faith, I'm speaking it, but then you come and you wake up and you don't do anything. Like, I want that body, I want to lose that weight,
Yeah.
but you don't eat right, you don't work out, you don't sleep right, you don't do what you're supposed to do to have the body that you want. And so write that down. Faith without works is dead. If you can't just have faith, you have to put the work in too. Absolutely. And that brings me to a story that I had, and this was back in high school. Guys, your boy Jet Li barely passed high school, and I'm ashamed to say that because I know I'm smart, I'm brilliant, and I'm a great person. I knew I could have been a better student. I just didn't apply myself in school because of my environment. And just on myself too, I was lazy. Like, I didn't want to do the work, right? So I was an average student in high school, and in Alabama, you have to take the Alabama graduation exam, and it's 5 parts of those things, right? You have math, reading, language, science, social studies, right? So you start taking it in the 10th grade, right? And so 10th grade comes up, I passed everything, reading, social studies, science, and I just had math and language left, right? So you take these tests numerous of times during your high school career, right? So 11th grade come. I'm still flunking math, and I'm still flunking language, right? 12th grade come. Your boy still failing math, still failing language, right? And so I'm gonna pause because in the middle of that, I was not putting in the work. I had the faith. I was saying, man, Jen, I know you can pass it. Like, I know you can pass this thing. You're smart enough. I didn't want to let my family down. I didn't want to let everybody that poured into me into this point, and got me through high school, and built me up and built Jet, and I didn't want to let those people down, letting them know that I was not going to graduate high school because I didn't pass this test, right? So 12th grade come, I have I think at least 2 more times to take it into 12th grade, and again, guys, if you do not pass this test, you do not walk across the stage and graduate high school, right? And that was so big for me because, like I said, I didn't want to let my family down. I didn't want to let everybody that important to me into this point. So me not putting in the work, it got me to this point in life where I was barely passing high school. I didn't know if I was going to walk across the stage, and I had to put the work in. So you know what I had to do? I had to get a tutor. Something I was supposed to. Ben got done and got a tutor back in the 11th grade. Ben got this behind me, but procrastination, laziness, not being disciplined, got me to this point where I could just figure it out. Like I could just go in here and just take the test and pass it. Like I thought I was that smart, but I wasn't. Like I had to study. I had to always study longer than the next person because it took me a little longer to get it. But when I got it, I was the best with it. So, short. Well, finishing the story, I got the tutor. I studied. She tutored me in math and language. And on the last go around, the last test, I never forget. I'm sitting in the class, 12th grade, Miss Richardson class, and I got the results that I passed both tests. Guys, all I could do is just thank God. And I was so excited and I was just so happy and thrilled that I was able to graduate high school, pass the test, walk across the stage, and my family be proud of me. So just because we have faith, we got to make sure that we're still putting in the work because faith without works is dead. So that was another story, and I got some more before we finish. But man, that was a story, that was like a critical point in my life that showed me a lot and showed me what I was really made of. That I knew that I could do anything as long as I really studied and put my all into something. I knew I could accomplish anything.
Yeah.
But we can't let laziness and procrastination and not being disciplined, stop us from reaching our dreams and living out our dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah, story time.
It's so many stories that I can think of, but I think one of the kind of most recent, well, not really recent because we've been married almost 3 years, but I can remember getting ready to plan a wedding. First of all, it took faith to plan my entire wedding by myself. Let's just talk about that, first of all.
All right.
We didn't have a planner. We didn't have, we barely had a director. Yeah. But I love it. I love that kind of thing. Like, I like building things from the bottom and kind of just, like, taking it through that process. Like, I like that kind of stuff. So I really didn't.
They overrated. A planner and director is overrated.
Don't say that because might be somebody watching and you might be a planner.
You're not overrated, but for us to have one was overrated. We need it. All right, continue.
I ain't say it, y'all. He said it. I do believe that planners are necessary if you need them.
Yeah.
There we go.
If you need them.
Nevertheless. So, we were young. We knew we wanted to get married. We were, 24 and 25? Or 25 and 26? 25 and 26. And, we've never come from a family that had a lot of money. We've never come from a family, I think we both come from families that did what they could for us, with what they had. But for the most part, we knew that this wedding was going to be, kind of what we could make with what we had. But I feel like at the end of the day, I didn't really want just this big extravagant wedding anyway, because I wanted to go to Greece for our honeymoon. So I would much rather put money on that. But here's the thing. We still had no idea what we was going to do. We still had no idea how we was going to do it. We still had no idea where the money was going to come from.
We had people, family chipping in too.
Right. This is my story. I ain't into a girl story.
You're right. I was doing good. I'm sorry. Continue.
We had no idea where the money was going to come from. I knew that I wanted, what I cared about in, for my wedding was my dress. That's pretty much it. Like, I ain't really, all the other stuff, it was cool, but I just really cared about my dress. I'm sure some other women on here, brides to be, will be a bride, you care about their dress. But I knew that the dress that I wanted, that was not the dress that I was about to get. However, I knew that, we had parents and we had family members that was going to chip in, but we still had to make sure that we were wise with what we had and what we were given. Granted, I thank God for our families because they were the reason, some of the reason why we had a lot of things that we did have. But Um, just from when I started planning the wedding all the way to the end, y'all, the way that God moved in that thing, like,
I wish you had the
was
piece of paper.
great. I do have, but I don't have it sitting right here. We laughed about it the other day. It's crazy because I want to encourage you that some of the things that you're crying about now, that you're worried about now, I worry about right now, in 2 years, 3 years, on down the line, y'all are gonna laugh about it. I'm telling you. We picked up that piece of paper that I literally wrote everything out from the wedding, trying to match up the money and add up the money and work to get the money. And now we laugh about it because y'all, we literally had money left over. I still don't know how. I remember what, a week or a couple days before the wedding, we were sitting there and we was like, we need maybe $500-$600 extra. I swear to God, y'all, I promise you. I was like, we need $500-$600 more. I was like, I don't know how we gonna do it. You know, I can get out here and DoorDash, blah blah blah. Try to go ahead and get that. So I added it again just to make sure it wasn't no error. Added it again to make sure it wasn't no error, like to make sure I done put everything where it needs to go. Y'all, I promise you. At the end, by the time it was time to pay everybody, cut the checks, because you know, for most people that don't take all their money before they get it at the wedding, when it was time to get it, like we still had an excess of money left at the end of it. And I say all that to say, you know, when you're worried about what you're gonna do, like you miss how God moves, you miss what God wants to do in the middle of it because you're so worried about what you can do and what you're able to do. But I know for us, we do not know. I still cannot figure out where the money came from, y'all. I promise you. Like, I don't know if it felt like the sky.
I don't know either.
I promise you.
And we had everything we wanted.
We had everything and more that we wanted. We was able to tilt vendors, like, because like we were literally in excess. Even with buying this house, we end up coming up with like $11,000 in 30 days.
I don't know how.
We I can't make it so $11,000 might not be a lot to y'all, but you know, he already told y'all he was in and out of jobs. We can lay him down.
We was in and out.
He was in and out of jobs, like,
we
bro.
just pulled on the money that we had from 401k and
like 401ks, savings. We
made
had a really good savings account.
At the time, yeah, because I held on to a job for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just we sit there and we think about what we can think about, so surface level of what God wants to do and what God can do and what God is able to do, that we miss out on, you know, what's possible and what we can have when we really put our face to the test. You know, I never thought that we would be in this. You know, I never thought that we would have had the wedding that it, and I would say, you know, a lot of people say it's the wedding of my dreams and all this. I ain't really care about all that, for real. But I feel like we had a very nice and intimate wedding.
Indeed.
But it was just the fact that when you know, like, what you come from, what you have, and what you don't have, what you're able to do, and what you ain't able to do, like, you be like, I'm blessed, you know? And that's why I spend my time with women, pushing them to know, you know, that life is literally a training ground. Everything that you do, every obstacle you face, every trial that you go through, it's a training ground to test your faith, to train your faith, to know or to see that, you know, this isn't meant to kill me. This isn't meant to stop me. This isn't meant to, you know, for me to fold, but it's meant to develop me. It's meant to, you know, when you train for something, and you're training for the Olympics, or you're training for the playoffs, or whatever it is that you're training for, when you constantly train your strength, yes, your strength endures, you build your strength, you build muscle, so that the next time that this happens, the next time that you go through something that you know, like, God got me through this before.
Right.
Or you know that, you know, I can do this.
Right.
Or I was weak in this area before, but God has revealed to me now, you know, the strength that I really have inside of me. So it's so much that I can think about that God did for us, which I know for you as well, that it's something that you can think about that you went through in life. Or that, and it can be big or small. It may not be something as big as buying a house or paying for a wedding. It may simply be your car in the shop and the extended warranty paid for. We going through that right now too. Yeah, but like it's so funny because we literally exercise our faith in everything. Like that's not an option. Like to not believe, that's not an option for us. I remember when he was actually about to get a job for Cooks. He was about to get a job for a cook shop, and first of all, they wanted him to cut their hair. I told him, if you gonna cut your hair, it's only gonna be to cut it off for firefighter, but for a career. We're not doing it just for no little cook's roach job. We're not doing it. Nevertheless,
I didn't do it.
Yeah, definitely not. But let me tell y'all what happened. So in the Bible, Gideon prayed to God for a sign, for him to make a decision on what to do. So I said, okay. Well, we're going to pray to God and ask him for a sign. We was living in an apartment at the time.
Right.
And we never saw bugs. Like, they had a really, really good pest control service or whatever. We never saw bugs in there. First of all, anybody that know me know that, baby, I flipped the whole house over about anything crawling or flying. So we prayed one night. I promise you. We laughing now, but I was so serious. You know I was serious. Mm-hmm. We prayed one night. And we said, Lord, if it's meant for Jet to work at Cooks, send a roach across this phone. I was so serious because that was going to be our sign. Like, we were very specific. Gideon was specific about what he wanted God to do on the grass for him to know. He was very specific. So I was very specific. Long story short, we didn't see no roach. And he didn't take the job. But the point that I'm making here is, it big or small. Like the Bible says, you can have mustard seed faith. Mustard seed. You know how big a mustard seed is? It ain't very big. You just need to believe God is who He says He is, and He'll do what He says He'll do. Right. Like that. It's hard. It's hard, but it ain't that hard. Yeah. It's hard. Because mentally, carnally, we're thinking about what could go wrong. Yeah. Why it wouldn't work. That's why it's hard. It's easy because we know who God is. Right. We know what God has promised. We know what God has did. And we may not know what He's going to do, but we know one thing that He ain't going to do is fail us. Right.
And, man, if there's some good information, go ahead and like and subscribe and comment. Yeah. Right there. Take that time and do that. And another time for me, faith over fear is starting low. Like when I started low, I was depressed. Like I was in a bad, dark place, right? And it took faith to start something when I didn't have any money, I didn't have any resources, I didn't have anything, but I had faith and I had a vision that I wanted to change my life and change my situation. So in that time of being depression and beating, self-pity and just getting over, just being down on life, I had to use my faith. Like I had to activate my faith and make something happen. And what I did was I talked to God. Like that's another point. Like just talk to God. And we've been saying that. And that took me to another place. Once I talked to God and I was just like, God, what you want me to do? And He literally laid it on my heart to start low, living out a dream, and to encourage people to find their dreams and purpose and help them like God helped me. Because somebody's in a dark place, somebody's in depression, self-pity, down and out, and they just need to hear somebody say, hey, get up, go live your dreams. You can do this. Like, don't let depression and don't let this world beat you down. You are smart. You are powerful. You can make an impact. You can make a change. And, that's what God told me. And that's what I was telling myself. So it's very important about what you're feeding yourself. Like, are you feeding yourself faith or are you feeding yourself fear? Like, that's a great question to ask yourself, because that fear, you feel you full of fear and you're not making any moves. You're stuck because you scared that if I do this, I'm gonna fail. If I do that, I'm gonna fail. And you have to feed yourself with faith, so that when you bust a move, you just going straight off of faith. So my faith move was getting on stage for the first time. Never been on stage and never did a spoken word poem, and that's what I started with. And I got on stage, and my poem was just about overcoming life, like overcoming yourself, overcoming life, and reaching greatness. And that was what my first poem and spoken word was about. And I got on stage, and I had shirts, and I got my shirts, I got the logo, and I started selling them. And then that's just was the journey that was started just by me choosing faith
Mm-hmm.
over fear, man. And so,
Before we wrap up, I
yeah,
want to ask because you kind of sparked the question. So you talked about feeding faith or you feed fear. So how do you feed faith and how do you feed fear? Or
yeah,
what are some ways? What are some ways you feed faith and what are some ways you feed fear?
yeah. So you can feed you can feed your faith with reading the Word,
Mm-hmm.
reading the Bible, reading good books, getting around good people, faithful people that's making changes, impacting the world. You can be around those people. Check your environment. You can have quiet time. Isolation is not a bad thing. Be by yourself. Get some quiet time. Mute the world and feed that faith that's inside of you, that seed that's inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
Ways that you feed fear is being around negative people, man. Negative people can pour a lot into you that you don't even recognize.
Yeah.
So being around negative people, watching a lot of negative things on TV and social media,
Negative self talk.
negative self-talk, you
Mm-hmm.
talking yourself out of the opportunity.
Yeah.
Don't talk yourself out of it. um, and I believe those three things: you're feeding your fear, and those four things you're feeding your faith.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's good because it's always good to give practical things that you can do because we can sit up here and talk about all day,
Yeah.
about fear, faith over fear. But when you get off of here, what are some practical ways that you can beat fear? You have to tell yourself fear is not welcome here because, granted, like I said earlier, fear is gonna always be around. Anytime that you're trying to do something new that you've never done before, you've never seen done before, whether it's break generational curses, whether it's,
Mm-hmm.
you know, being the first to accomplish something in your family, whether it's, starting a business, whether it's, going for the new job or the promotion, whatever it is that you desire, fear is gonna creep in there somewhere because you haven't done it before.
Right.
You may not know how to do it. You don't know what it looks like, what it feels like, what it tastes like. You don't always know that.
Right.
So fear is always going to try to creep in there, but you have to tell yourself fear is not welcome here. Fear cannot live here.
Right.
Um, we know that faith and worry can't live in the same place.
Tell them again.
Fear, faith, and worry cannot live in the same place.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. They don't go together. Like oil and water don't mix. Faith and worry can't mix. They can't live in the same place because you're gonna drown out faith with worry. The moment that you're trying to figure it all out, the moment that you're worrying about the what ifs, what if it went wrong? What if it doesn't work? What if I lose this? What if I lose this person? What if I lose this job? What if I don't make the money that I desire? What if you do? What if it works? What if it does work? A lot of times when we look at the what ifs, it's always what if negative instead of what if positive. And I think if we shift our mindset and we shift our thinking to what if it does work instead of for some reason we automatically go to what if it doesn't work or what are the wrong things, instead of first going to what if it does work. I think
Right.
that would cut down on a lot of the fear and the worry that we have because you know I think that would really encourage us to want to do it more.
Right.
I come alive with seeing and helping and encouraging women, to love themselves and own their power and, walk in the identity that God has given them. But that takes a lot of courage to do that because a lot of people don't want to hear what you have to say or want you to know their story or be all in their business, all of that. You know, that takes a lot, to reach out to people to do that. But at the I can't think about what if they don't want to share. It's what if they do share,
Right.
and what if I'm able to share them my testimony and it's able to help their lives. So, if you don't remember anything else that I said today, worry and faith cannot live in the same place, and you have to tell fear that it is not welcome. It cannot live here. Like when I look in the mirror, especially when it's something big that I know I'm trying to do or something that I need, I look in the mirror. Fear is not welcome. Fear cannot live here. Like I never say fear is not real because fear is very real, but it's not welcome and it cannot live in this place. It cannot live with my faith. It cannot.
So that was that was good.
Cut that breast. Cut that finger down. I don't know what you're doing. So he was caught off guard. Hold up.
That was good. All right. So you have two choices, guys. Faith or you have fear. And we're going to choose that faith route. We already speaking that this is going to be a big podcast that right now, we got 2 lights and 2 cameras, but we may have, 10 lights and 5 cameras. We're going to have sponsorships. We're going to have thousands of subscribers and thousands of views. And, that's just the faith talk. That was the vision that we had, when we getting started with this, because we want to help people live out their dreams. We want to help people change their minds, change their lives, and live your dreams. So make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you comment, make sure you share this podcast with somebody, man. It's your boy Jet Lee.
And I'm Courtney B.
And this is the Load Up Podcast. Y'all have a great week.